Since Troy's assault and siege, I trow, were overpast, to brands and ashes burnt, that stately burg at last, and he, the traitor proved, for treason that he wrought, was fitly tried and judged, his fortune elsewhere sought, the truest knight on earth, Aeneas with his kin, who vanquished provinces and did, as princes, win. Of all the western isles, the wealth and worth alway, which Romulus to Rome full swift hath ta'en his way. First hath he founded fair that city in his pride, to which he gave his name, it bears it to this tide. Tisius doth dwelling found turning to Tuscany, and Langobard a race raised up in Lombardy. But Felix Brutus sailed full far o'er the French flood, and on its banks so broad founded Britain, the good, in bliss, where war no wonder fail, and ne'er have done US nor shall both bliss and bale the shifting chances miss. And when that barren bold had Britain made, I trow, bold men were bred therein, who loved strife well enow, and many a war they waged in those good days of yore. Of marvels stern and strange, in this land many more have chanced than otherwhere, since that time, I ween. But of all kings, who o'er Britain lords have been, fairest was Arthur all, and boldest, so men tell. Therefore I think to shew a venture that befell in his time, which some men for a sheer wonder hold, and strange above all tales that be of Arthur told. If ye will list this lay a little while, in sooth I'll tell ye as I heard it told in town for truth, with tongue, as it doth stand to wit, in story stiff and strong, and letters fairly writ, the land hath known it long. At Camelot lay the king, all on a Christmas tide, with many a lovely lord and gallant knight beside, and of the table round did the rich brotherhood high revel hold aright, and mirthful was their mood. Oft times on tourney bent those gallants sought the field, and gentle knights in joust would shiver spear and shield. Anon would seek the court for sport and carol gay. For 15 days full told the feast was held away, with all the meat and mirth that men might well devise. Right glorious was the glee that rang in riotous wise. Glad clamor through the day, dancing throughout the night, good luck throughout the hall, and chambers well bedight. Had lords and ladies fair, each one as pleased him best. With all of this world's weal they dwelt, those gallant guests. For Christ no braver knights had faced or toil or strife, no fairer ladies e'er had drawn the breath of life, and he, the comeliest king that e'er held court forsooth, for all this goodly folk were e'en in their first youth, and still the happiest under heaven, a king of stalwart will. 'Twere hard with them to even another host on hill. So young the new year was, methinks it was born. Double upon the dais they served that meat that morn. Into the hall he came, with all his knights the king, e'en as the chapel choir to end the mass did sing. Loud rang the voice of clerk and cantor there aloft. Noel, Noel they sang, and cried the world full oft. And sith forth they run for hansel fair and free, their New Year's gifts they pray or give them readily. And then about the gifts they make debate enow, and ladies laugh full loud though they have lost I trow. And I read ye well, not wroth was he who won, and all this mirth they made till meal time came anon. The board was set, they washed, and then in order meet, The noblest above each gallant took his seat, when Gaynor, gladly clad, stepped forth among them all, upon the royal dais high in the midmost hall. Sindel swept at her side, and eke above her head, a tapestry of tars and choice to loose outspread, and all embroidered fair, and set with gems so gay, that might be proved of price, and ye their worth would pay one day. Right fair she was, the queen, with eyes of shining gray, that fairer he had seen, no man might soothly say. Arthur he would not eat till all were served with food. Glad of his gladness he, somewhat of his childlike mood. A changeful life he loved, he liked it not a whit, either or long to lie, or e'en or long to sit. So chafed his youthful blood, and eke his busy brain, also a custom good to which the king was fain. Through valor stablished fast, that never would he eat on such high holiday ere yet adventure meet, were told unto his ear, or wondrous tale enow, or else some marvel great that he might well allow. Tales of his father's days, of arms of emprise high, or e'en some knights besought another skill to try, to join with him in joust, in jeopardy to lay life against life, each one on hap of knightly play, as fortune them might aid in quest of honor fair. This was his custom good, when as in court he were, at each high holiday, among his courtiers there, in hall, fair-faced and free of fear, he sitteth o'er them all, right king in that new year, and maketh mirth withal. Thus in his place he stands, the young and gallant king, before the royal board, talking of many a thing. Their good Gawain gay clad, beside Gaynor doth sit, Agravain do remain, beyond her as it fit. Both the king's sisters' sons, and knights of valiant mood, high at the table sits Baldwin the bishop good, and Yvain, Uriel's son, doth with the bishop eat. These on the dais are served, and seemingly wise and meet. Full many a gallant knight sits at the board below. See where the first courses come, while loud the trumpets blow, with many a banner bright that gaily waves thereby, and royal roll of drums and pipes that shrill on high. Wild warblings waken there, and sweet notes rise and fall, till many a heart swelled high within that castle hall. Dainties they brought therewith, and meats both choice and rare, such plenty of fresh food, so many dishes bare, they scarce might find a place to set the folk before. The silver vessels all that savory messes bore. On cloth the guests they help themselves, thereto they be not loth. Each twain had dishes 12, good beer and red wine both. Now of their service good I think no more to say, for each man well may wot no lack was there that day. Noise that to them was new methinks now drew anear, such as each man in hall were ever fain to hear. For scarce the joyful sounds unto an end were brought, and scarce had the first course been fitly served at court, when through the hall door rushed a champion fierce and fell, highest in stature he of all on earth who dwell. From neck to waist so square, and eke so thickly set, his loins and limbs alike, so long they were and great. Half giant upon the earth, I hold him to have been, in every way of men, the tallest he, I ween. The merriest in his might, that ere a joust might ride, sternly his body framed in back and breast and side. Belly and waist alike were fitly formed and small, e'en so his features fair were sharply cut withal. and clean, men marveled at his hue. So was his semblance seen. He fared as one on feud, and over all was green. All green bedight that night, and green his garments fair. A narrow coat that clung straight to his side he wear. A mantle plain above, lined on the inner side, with costly fur and fair, set on good cloth and wide. So sleek and bright in hue, therewith his hood was gay, which from his head was doffed, and on his shoulders lay. Full tightly drawn his hose, all of the selfsame green, well clasped about his calf, thereunder spurs full keen, of gold on silken lace, all striped in fashion bright, that dangled beneath his legs, so rode that gallant knight. His vesture verily was green, as grass doth grow, the barring of his belt, the blithe stones set a row, that decked in richest wise his raiment fine and fair, himself his saddle bow, in silken broideries rare. 'Twere hard to tell the half, so cunning was the wise, in which 'twas broidered all with birds and eke with flies. Decked was the horse's neck, and decked the crupper bold, with gauds so gay of green, the centre set with gold. And every harness boss was all enamelled green. The stirrups where he stood were of the selfsame sheen. The saddle bow behind, the girths so long and fair, they gleamed and glittered all with green stones rich and rare. The very steed beneath the selfsame semblance wear, he rides, a green horse great and tall, a steed full stiff to guide, embroidered bridle all, he worthily bestrides. Right gaily was the knight, but decked all green his weed, the hair upon his head, the mane of his good steed. Fair flocking locks enfolded his shoulders broad and strong, great as a bush the beard that on his breast low hung, and with his goodly hair that hung down from his head, a covering round his arms above his elbows spread. Laced were his arms below, e'en in the selfsame way, as a king's cap does, that clasps his neck alway. The mane of that great steed was well and deftly wrought, well crisped and combed the hair, with many a knot incaught, folded with golden thread about the green so fair. Here lay a twist of gold, and here a coil of hair. In selfsame wise the tail and top crest were twined, a band of brightest green the twain alike did bind, which set with precious stones hung the tail's length adown. There twisted in a knot on high the crest did crown. Therefrom hung many a bell of burnished gold so bright, such full upon the fell bestridden by such a knight. Sure ne'er within that hall before of mortal sight were seen, as lighting gleaming bright, so seemed to all his sheen. They deemed that no man might endure his blows so keen. Nor helmet on his head, nor hauberk did he wear, gorget nor breastplate good, as knights are wont to bear. Nor shaft to smite, nor shield that blows might well withstand. Naught but a holly bough he carried in one hand. When all the groves be bare, then fullest is its green, and in his other's hand a huge axe sharp and sheen, a weapon ill to see, would one its fashion say. The haft it measured full, an ell-yard long alway, the blade of good green steel, and all with gold inlaid, right sharp and broad the edge, and burnished bright the blade. 'Twas sharpened well, to cut e'en as a razor good. Right well the steel was set in staff, so stiff of wood, and iron bands to bind throughout the length it bare, with cunning work of green all wrought, and graven fair, twined with a lace that fell in silken loops so soft, e'en at the head adow the haft was caught full oft, with hanging tassels fair that silken threads entwine, and buttons of bright green, all broidered fair and fine. Thus in the great hall door the knight stood, fair and tall. Fearless and free his gaze, he gat him down the hall. Greeting he gave to none, but looked right steadily toward the royal seat and quoth, "Now where is he, the lord of all this folk? To see him am I fain, and with himself would speak, might I the boon attain." With frown he looked upon the knight, and paced him up and down. Fain would he know aright who was of most renown. Then each man gazed amain, each would that hero see, and each man marveled much what might the meaning be, that man and horse alike of such a hue were seen. Green is the growing grass, and greener still I ween, e'en than enamel green on gold that gloweth bright. Then all with one consent drew near unto that knight. A marveling fell they all, who he might be wis. For strange sights had they seen, but none so strange as this. The folk they deemed it well phantasm or fairy, and none among them all dare answer speedily, but all astonished gazed, and held them still as stone. Throughout that goodly hall, in silence every one, their faces changed as they by sleep were overcome. Suddenly, I deem not all for fear, but some for courtesy, they fain would lend an ear, and let the king reply. Arthur before his dais beheld this marvel fair, and boldly did he speak for dread he knew it ne'er, and said, "Right welcome, sir, to this my house and hall. Head of this hostel I, and Arthur men me call. Alight from this thy steed, and linger here I pray, and what thy will may be hereafter shalt thou say." "So help me," quoth the knight, "the God who rules o'er all, I came not here to bide within thy castle wall. The praise of this thy folk throughout the world is told. Thy burg, thy barons all, bravest and best thy hold. The stiffest under wheel, who battle steed bestride, wisest and worthiest they, throughout the world wide. Proven right well in joust, in all fair knightly play, renowned for courtesy, so have I heard men say. And this hath brought me here, e'en at this Yuletide fair, for ye be well assured by this green branch I bear, that I would pass in peace, and seek no battle here, for an it my will to ride in warlike gear. I hath at home an helm, and hauberk good and strong, a shield and shining spear, with blade both sharp and long, and other weapons good, that well a knight beseem. But since I seek no war, my weeds are soft I ween, and if ye be so bold as all men say ye be, the favor that I ask ye sure will grant to me of right." Arthur he was not slow to speak. "I trow, Sir Knight, and here thou seekest a foe, thou shalt not fail for fight." "Nay, here I crave no fight, in sooth I say to thee. The knights about thy board but beardless bairns they be, and I were fitly armed upon this steed so tall. For lack of strength no man might match me in this hall. Therefore within thy court I crave a Christmas jest. 'Tis Yuletide and New Year, and here be many a guest. If any in this hall himself so hardly hold, so valiant of his hand, of blood and brain so bold, that stroke for counterstroke with me exchange he dare, I give him of free gift this gisarm rich and fair, this axe of goodly weight, to wield as he see fit, and I will bide his blows, as bare here I sit. If one will test my words, and be of valiant mood, then let him swiftly come, and take this weapon good. Here I renounce my claim, the axe shall be his own, and I will stand his stroke here, on this floor of stone, that I in turn a blow may deal that boon alone, I pray. Yet respite shall he have, a 12-month and a day. Now quickly I thee crave, who now hath aught to say? If erst they were amazed, now stiller sat they all, both high and low those knights within King Arthur's hall. The knight upon his steed, he sat him fast and true, and round about the hall his fierce red eyes he threw. From 'neath his bushy brows, all green they were in hue, twisting his beard he waits, to see if none will rise. When no man proffers speech, with mocking voice he cries, "What, is this Arthur's house? Is this his gallant band, whose fame hath run abroad throughout many a realm and land? Where be your vaunted pride, your conquests, where be they? Your wrath and fearless fell, your boastful words all weigh. Now is the table round, its revel and renown, o'erthrown with but a word from one man's mouth alone. Since none dare to speak, for dread though ne'er a dint he see." And with that he laughed so loud, Arthur must shamed be he. And in his face so fair, the blood rose ruddily alight, as wind waxed wroth the king, and every gallant knight, in words of warlike ring, he hailed the man of might, and quoth, "By heaven, Sir Knight, thou speakest foolishly, but what thy folly craves, we needs must grant to thee. I trow no knight of mine thy boastful words doth fear. That goodly axe of thine in God's name give me here, and I will give the boon which thou doth here demand." And with that he lightly leapt and caught him by the hand. Then lightened down the knight, before the king he stood, and Arthur by the haft he gripped that axe so good, and swung it sternly round, as one who thought to smite. Before him on the floor he stood, that stranger knight, taller by full a head than any in the hall. With stern mien did he stand, and stroked his beard withal, and drew his coat adown, e'en with unruffled cheer. No more was he dismayed, for threats he needs must hear. Then at the royal board, one bare a cup anear, of wine Gawain from out his place, spake fitting words and fine. "I pray thee of thy grace, be this adventure mine," quoth Gawain to the king. "I pray right worthily thou bid me quit this seat, and take my stand by thee, that so without reproach I from this board may rise, and that it be not ill in my liege lady's eyes. I'll to thy counsel come before this royal court. Unfitting do I deem that such a boon be sought, and such a challenge raise in this your goodly hall, that thou thyself be fain to answer it withal. And while many a valiant knight doth sit beside thee still, I wot there be 'neath heaven no men of sterner will, nor braver on this field where men fight as fit. Methinks the weakest I, the feeblest here of wit, the less loss of my life, I thou the sooth would say. Save as thy near of kin, no praise were mine alway, no virtue save thy blood I in my body know. Since this be folly all, nor thine to strike this blow, and I have prayed the boon, then grant it unto me. This good court, and I bear myself ungallantly, may blame. Together they press, their counsel was the same, to free the king no less, and give Gawain the game. Then did the king command that gallant knight to rise, and swiftly up he gat in fair and courteous wise. And he knelt before his lord, and gripped the axe's haft. The king he loosened his hold, and raised his hand aloft, and blessed him in Christ's name, and bade him in good part to be of courage still, hardy of hand and heart. Now, nephew, keep thee well, he quoth, deal but one blow, and if thou rett'st him well, in very truth I know, the blow that he shall deal, thou shalt right well withstand. Gawain strode to the knight, the gisarn in his hand. Right boldly did he bide, no whit abashed I ween. And frankly to Gawain he quoth, that knight in green,
make we a covenant here, ere yet we further go. And first I ask, Sir Knight, that I thy name may know. I bid thee tell me true, that I assured may be.
I faith, quoth that good knight, Gawain I wot is he, who giveth thee this blow, be it for good or ill. A 12-month hence I'll take another at thy will. The weapon be thy choice, I'll crave no other still. Alive. The other quoth again,
Gawain, so may I thrive, but I shall take full fain the dint that thou shalt drive. By Christ,
quoth the Green Knight,
I trow I am full fain the blow that here I crave to take from thee, Gawain. And thou hast well rehearsed in fashion fair, I trow, the covenant and the boon I prayed the king but now. Save that thou here, Sir Knight, shall soothly swear to me to seek me out thyself, where'er it seemeth thee I may be found on field, and there in turn demand such dole as thou shalt deal before this goodly band.
Now, quoth the good Gawain, by him who fashioned me, I wot not where to seek, nor where thy home shall be. I know thee not, Sir Knight, thy court, nor yet thy name. Teach me thereof the truth, and tell me of that same, and I will use my wit to win me to that goal. And here I give thee troth, and swear it on my soul. Nay, in this New Year's tide, it needs no more, I ween. So to that good Gawain he quoth, that knight in green,
to save that I tell thee true, when I the blow have ta'en, which thou shalt smartly smite, and teach thee here remain, where be my house, my home, and what my name shall be, then mayest thou find thy road, and keep thy pledge with me. But if I waste no speech, thou shalt the better speed, and in thy land mayest dwell, no further seek at need. For fight, take thy grim tool to thee, let's see how thou canst smite, quoth Gawain, willingly, and stroked his axe so bright. The Green Knight on the ground made readily speedily. He bent his head adown, so that his neck were free. His long and lovely locks across the crown they fell. His bare neck to the nape, all men might see right well. Gawain he gripped his axe, and swung it up on high. The left foot on the ground he setteth readily. Upon the neck so bare he let the blade alight. The sharp edge of the axe the bones asunder smite. Sheer through the flesh it smote, the neck was cleft in two. The brown steel on the ground it bit, so strong the blow. The fair head from the neck fell, even to the ground, spurned by the horse's hoof.
e'en as it rolled around. The red blood spurted forth and stained the green so bright, but ne'er for that he failed, nor fell that stranger knight. Swiftly he started up on stiff and steady limb, and stretching forth his hand, all men gaped at him, grasped at his goodly head, and lifted up again, then turned him to his steed, and caught the bridle rein. Set foot in stirrup iron, bestrode that saddle fair, the while he gripped his head, e'en by flowing hair. He sat himself as firm in saddle, so I ween, as naught had ailed him there, though headless he was seen. In hall he turned his steed about, that corpse that bled withal, full many there had doubt of how the pledge might fall. The head within his hands, he held it up a space, toward the royal dais, forsooth he turned the face. The eyelids straight were raised, and looked with glance so clear, aloud it spake the mouth, e'en as ye now may hear.
Look, Gawain, thou be swift to speed, as thou hast said, and seek in all good faith, until thy search be sped. E'en as thou here didst swear, in hearing of these knights, to the Green Chapel come, I charge thee now aright. The blow thou hast deserved, such as was dealt today, e'en on the New Year's morn, I pledge me to repay. Full many know my name, Knight of the Chapel Green. To find me shouldst thou seek, thou wilt not fail, I ween. Therefore thou needest come, or be for recreant found. With fierce pull at the rein, he turned his steed around. His head within his hands, forth from the hall he rode. Beneath his horse's hoofs, the sparks they flew abroad. No man in the hall wist where he took his way, nor whence that knight had come, durst any of them say. What then? The king and Gawain there, they gazed and laughed again, and proven it was full fair, a marvel unto men. Though Arthur in his heart might marvel much, I ween, no semblance in his speech of fear or dread was seen. Unto the queen he quoth, in courteous wise and gay, Dear lady, at this tide, let not your heart dismay. Such craft doth well, methinks, to Christmas time belong, when jests so soothly sought, with laugh and merry song. And when in carols gay our knights and ladies vie, nameless unto my meat, I'll get me presently. I may not soon forget the sight my eyes have seen. He turned him to Gawain, and quoth with gladsome mien, Now, sir, hang up thine axe, the blow was soundly sped. 'Twas hung above the dais, on dossel overhead, that all within the hall might look upon it well, and by that token true the tale of wonder tell. Then to the royal board they sat them down, those twain, the king and the good knight, and men for service fain. As to the noblest there, with double portion wind, with meat and minstrelsy, the Yule-tide feast they spend. With joy they pass the day, till shades of night descend o'er land. Now think thee well, Gawain, and fail not to withstand the venture thou wast fain to take unto thine hand. Now this venture fair befell in the new year, to Arthur, who such feats was ever fain to hear, although his words were few, when as at meat they met. But now to task full stern to their hand methinks be set. Right gladly did Gawain begin these games in hall, if heavy be the end, small wonder were withal. A man hath merry mind when he hath drunk amain, speedy the year hath sped, and cometh not again. Beginnings to their end do all unlike appear, the Yuletide passed away, and eke the after year, each season severally after the other sent,
When Christmas tide was past, then came the crabbed Lent. That changing flesh for fish doth simpler food provide. The weather of the world with winter then doth chide. The cold no longer clings, the clouds themselves uplift, shed swift the rain, and warm the showers of springtide drift. Fall fair upon the field, the flowers all unfold, the grass and e'en the groves all green ye may behold. The birds begin to build, and greet with joyful song, solace of winter sweet, that followeth ere long. On bank the blossoms fair they blow, in hedgerows rich in rank. The birds sing loud and low, in woodland deep and dank. After the summer tide, with gentle winds and soft, when zephyr on the sward and seeds doth breathe full oft. Full gladsome is the growth waxing therefrom, I ween, when as the dewdrops drip off the leaves so green, beneath the blissful beams of the bright summer sun, then nighteth harvest-tide, hardening the grain anon. With warnings to wipe ripe ere come the winter cold, with drought he drives the dust before him on the wold. From off the field it flies, in clouds it riseth high. Winds of the welkin strive with the sun wrathfully. Then the leaves fall from the bough and lie upon the ground, and grey is now the grass that erst all green was found. Ripen and rots the fruit that once was flower gay, and thus the year doth turn to many a yesterday. Winter become again, as needeth not to say. The sage, then when St. Michael's moon become the winter's gauge, Gawain bethinks him soon of his dread venture's wage. Yet till All Hallows Day with Arthur did he bide, then for his sake the king a fair feast did provide. Rich was the revel, thereof the good table round. There were both courteous knights and comely ladies found. And many sorrowed sore, all for that good knight's sake, yet none the less no sign of aught but mirth they make. Though joyless all the jests they bandy at the same, with morning after meat he to his uncle came, and of his journey spake and openly did say, Now, liege lord of my life, your leave I fain would pray. Ye knows how stands the case thereof, no more I'll speak, since talk it mendeth not, 'twere trifling ease to seek. I to the blow am bound, tomorrow must I fare, to seek the knight in green, God knoweth how or where. The best knights in the burg together then they ran, Gawain and Eric there, with many another man. Dodel le Sauvage, the Duke of Clarence came, Lancelot, Lionel, and Lucan at that same. Sir Bors, Sir Bedivere, the twain were men of might, with Mador de la Porte, and many another knight. Courtiers in company nigh to the king they drew, for counselling that night much care at heart they knew. In dole so drear their tears and hull together blend, to think that good Gawain must on such an errand wend, and such doleful dent endure, no more fair blows to spend, and free the night he made good cheer. He quoth, What boots it me? For though his weird be drear, each man that same must dree. He dwelt there all that day, at early dawn besought, that men would bring his arms, and all were straightway brought. A carpet on the floor they stretched full flare and tight, rich was the gold gear that on it glittered bright. The brave man stepped thereon, the steel he handled fair, a doublet dear of tars they did upon him there, a cunning capados that fitted close and well, all fairly lined throughout. As I have heard it tell, they set the shoes of steel upon the hero's feet, and wrapped the legs in greaves of steel as fit and meet. The caps that long thereto polished they were full clean, and knit about the knee with knots of golden sheen. Comely the cuisses were that closed him all about, with thongs all tightly tied around his thighs so stout. And then a breerin bright with burnished steel they bring, upon a stuff so fair woven with many a ring. And now upon each arm they set the burnished brace, with elbow plate so good the metal gloves they lace. Thus all the goodly gear to shield him was in place, that the tide rich surcoat doth he wear, and golden spurs of pride. His sword is girt full fair, with silk upon his side. When he was fitly armed, his harness rich they deem, nor loop nor latchet small, but was with the gold agleam. Then harnessed as he was, his mass he heard straightway, on the high altar there an offering meet did lay. Then coming to the king, and to the knights at court, from lords and ladies fair, lightly leave besought. They kissed the knight, his soul commending to Christ's care. Ready was Gringolet girt with a saddle fair. Gaily it gleamed that day, with fringes all of gold. For this adventure high new nails it bare for old. The bride bared about, with gold adorned well, the harness of the neck, the skirts that proudly fell. Crupper and coverture match with the saddle bow, and all the red gold nails were richly set a row. They glittered and they gleamed, e'en as the sun, I wis. The knight he takes his helm and greets it with a kiss. 'Twas hooped about with steel, and all full fitly lined. He set it on his head, and hasped it close behind. Over the visor low a kerchief lieth light, broidered about and bound with goodly gems and bright. On a broad silken braid there many a bird is seen. The painted paroquet appeareth there between. Turtles and true love's knots so thick entwined there, as maid 7 winters long had wrought with labor fair in town. Full dear the circlet's price that lay around the crown, of diamonds its device, that were both bright and brown. The shield they shewn him then, of flaming gules so red, there the pentacles shine, in pure gold burnished. On baldric bound, the shield he to his neck makes tight. Full well I ween that sign became the comely knight. And why unto that prince the badge doth well pertain, tarry thereby my tale, I yet to tell in vain. For Solomon as sign erst the pentacle set, in tokening of truth it bears that title yet. For 'tis in figure formed of full 5 points I ween, each line and other lace no ending there is seen, each doth the other lock, in English land I wot, it beareth everywhere the name of Endless Knot. Therefore as fitting badge the knights this sign doth wear, for faithful he in fivefold the gifts he bare. Sir Gawain, good was he, pure as refined gold, void of all villainy, virtue did him enfold. And grace, so the pentacle knew, hath on his shield a place, as knight of heart most true, fairest of form and face. First he was faultless found in his 5 wits I ween, nor failed his fingers 5 where he yet had been. All his earthly trust upon those 5 wounds lay, that Christ won on the cross, e'en as the creed doth say. And wheresoever fate to fiercest fight did bring, truly in thought he deemed above all other thing, that all his force forsooth from those 5 joys he drew, which throughout her holy child the Queen of Heaven knew. And for this cause the knight courteous and comely bare, on one half of his shield her image painted fair, that when he looked thereon his courage might not fail. The 5th 5 that I find did much this knight avail, where frankness, fellowship, all other gifts above, cleanness and courtesy that ever did him move, and pity passing all I trow in this fair 5. That knight was clothed and happened o'er all that be alive, and all these gifts 5-fold upon that knight were bound, each in the other linked, that none an end had found.
Fast fixed upon 5 points I trow, that failed him ne'er, nor joined at any side, nor sundered anywhere. Nor was there any point so cunningly they blend, where they beginning make, or where they find an end. Therefore upon his shield fair shapen doth the same sign in fair red gold gleam upon red gules of flame, which the pentacle pure the folk do truly name. With lore armed as Sir Gawain gay, his lance aloft he bore, and wished them all good day, he deemed for evermore. Spurs to his steed he set, and sprang upon his way, so that from out the stones the sparks they flew alway. Seeing that seemly sight the hearts of all did sink, each soothly said to each that which they secret think. Grieved for that comely knight, by Christ were pity great, if young good knight be lost who is of fair estate. His peer on field to find, I faith it were not light. 'Twere better to have wrought by wile methinks than might. Such doughty knight a duke were worthier to have been, a leader upon land, gladly we such had seen. Such lot were better far than he and brought to naught, hewn by an elfish man for gauge of prideful thought. Did ever any king obey such a strange behest, as risk a goodly knight upon a Christmas jest? Much water warm I ween welled from the eyes of all, when as that gallant knight gat him from Arthur's hall. That day not here would he abide, but swiftly went his way, by toilsome paths did ride, e'en as the book did say. Now rides Gawain the good through Logor's realm, I trow, forth doth he fare on quest that seemeth ill enow. Often companionless, at night alone must lie. The fare he likes best he lacketh verily. No fellow save his foal hath he by wood or wold. With none save God alone that night may converse hold, till that unto North Wales full nigh he needs must draw. The Isles of Anglesey on his left hand he saw, and fared across the ford and foreland at that same, over 'gainst Holyhead, so that he further came. To Wirral's wilds methinks, nor long therein abode, since few within that land they love or man or God. And ever as he fare he asked the folk I ween, if they had heard man tell of a knight in green, in all that land about, or of a chapel green, and all men answered nay, not of that knight they knew, and none had seen sight a man who bare such hue as green. The knight took roads full strange, and rugged paths between, his mood full oft did change, ere his goal had seen. Full many a cliff he climbs within that country's range, far flying from his friends he rideth lone and strange. At every ford and flood he passed upon his way, he found a foe before, of fashion grim alway. So foul they were and fell, that he needs must fight. So many a marvel there befell that gallant knight, that tedious 'twere to tell the tithe thereof, I ween. Sometimes with worms he warred, or wolves his foes have been, anon with woodmen wild, who in the rocks do hide. Of bulls or bears or boars the onslaught doth he bide, and giants who drew anigh from off the moorland height. Doughty endurance he, and shielded by God's might. Else doubtless had he died, full oft had he been slain, yet war it vexed him less than winter's bitter bane. When the clear water cold from out the clouds was shed, and froze ere yet it fell on fallow field and dead. Then more nights than now on naked rocks he lay, and half slain with the sleet, in harness slept away, while the cold spring that erst its waters clattering flung from cliff high o'erhead in icicles now hung, and peril thus and pain, and many a piteous plight. until the Yuletide Eve alone that gallant knight did fare. Sir Gawain at that tide to Mary made his prayer, for fain he was to ride where he might shelter share. That morn beside a mount his road the knight doth keep, threading a forest wild, with ways both strange and deep, high hills on either hand, and holts full thick below, where hoar oaks hundredfold do close together grow. Hazel and hawthorn there in tangled thicket clung, ragged and rough the moss o'er all a covering flung, and many birds unblithe on boughs ye might behold, piping full piteously for pain of bitter cold. Gawain on Gringolet fares lonely through the glade, through many a miry marsh, at heart full sore afraid that he no shelter find, that as was fit and right. He served betimes that sire who, on that selfsame night, was of a maiden born, our bale to cure I trow. Therefore he sighing said, Lord Christ, I pray thee now, and Mary Mother mild for her son's sake so dear, a haven I may find, thy mass may fitly hear, and matins at the morn, meekly I crave this boon. And paternost pray, and Ave too right soon, with creed. Thus praying did he ride, confessing his misdeed. Crossing himself he cried, Christ cross me better speed. Scarce had he signed himself, I ween, of times but 3, when there within the wood a dwelling doth he see, above a lawn on law, shaded by many a bough. About its moat there stand of stately trees enow, the comeliest castle sure, for owner strong and stout, set in a meadow fair, with park all round about, within a palisade of spikes set thick and close. For more than 2 miles round the trees they fast and close. Sir Gawain from the side of that burg was aware, shimmered the walls and shone through oaken branches bare. Then swift he doffed his helm, thanking I trow that day Christ and Saint Julian, that they had heard alway, courteous his piteous prayer, and hearkened to his cry. Now grant me, quoth the knight, here right good holstry. Then pricked he Gringolet with spurs of golden sheen. The good steed choseth well, the chiefest gate I ween, and swift to the bridge end he comes, the knight so keen. At last the bridge aloft stayed, the gates were shut full fast, the walls were well arrayed, they feared no tempest blast. The knight upon the bank his charger there doth stay, beyond the double ditch that round the castle lay. The walls in water set they were, and wondrous deep, and high above his hand it towered, the castle's keep. Of hard stone, fitly hewn up to the corbels fair. Beneath the battlements the stones well shapen were. Above it 'twas fairly set with turrets in between, and many a loophole fair for watchmen's gaze so keen. A better barbican had never met his eyes. Within the knight beheld a goodly hall and high, the towers set between the bristling battlements. Round were they, shapen fair of goodly ornament, with carven capitals by cunning craft well wrought. Of chalk-white chimneys too, and now they were, he thought. On battled roof a row they shone and glittered white, and many a pinnacle adorned that palace bright. The castle cornices they crowned everywhere, so white and thick it seemed they pared from paper were. Gawain on Gringolet right good the castle thought, so he might find within the shelter that he sought. And there until the feast to fitting end were brought, might rest he called, a porter came, with fair speech of the guest. He craved from wall his name, and what were his behest. Good sir, then quoth Gawain, do thou for me this task, get thee unto thy lord, and say I shelter ask.
Nay, by Saint Peter good,
the porter quoth,
'tis well, welcome be ye, sir knight, within these walls to dwell. long as it liketh ye.
Then swift his way he went. As swiftly came again, with folk on welcome bent, the drawbridge let adown, from out the gate they came, and unto the ground so cold they knelt low at the same, to welcome that good knight, in worthy wise that tide. They shewn to him the gate, with portals opened wide. Then o'er the bridge he gat, his greeting gay. The knight sergeants his stirrups seize, and bid him swift alight. To stable that good steed, the men run readily. The knights and squires they come adown full speedily, to bring that gentle knight with bliss unto the hall. When as he raised his helm, they hastened one and all, to take it from his hand, to serve him are they fain. His goodly sword and shield in charge they take the twain. Then greeting good he gave those nobles every one, the proud men pressing nigh to him have honor done. Still in his harness happed, to hall they lead him there. Upon the floor there flamed a fire, both fierce and fair. The castle's lord doth come forth from his chamber door, to greet with fitting grace his guest upon the floor. He quoth, "Be welcome here to stay, as likes ye still. For here all is your own to have at your own will. And hold." "Gramercy," quoth Gawain, "of Christ be payment told." In courteous wise the twain embrace as heroes bold. Gawain gazed on the knight, who goodly greeting gave, and deemed that burg so bright was owned of baron brave. For huge was he in height, and manhood's age he knew. His broad beard on his breast as beaver was it too. And stalwart in its stride, and strong and straight was he. His face was red as fire, and frank his speech and free. In sooth Sir Gawain thought 'twould seem him well on land, to lead in lordship good of men, a gallant band. The lord he led the way unto a chamber there, and did his folk command to serve him fit and fair. Then at his bidding came full many a gallant knight. They led him to a bower, with noble bedding dight. The curtains all of silk, and hemmed with golden thread, and comely coverings of fairest cloth o'erspread. Above of silk so bright, the broideries they were. The curtains ran on ropes with rings of red gold fair. Rich tapestries of tars and Toulouse on the wall hung fair, the floor was spread with the light cloth withal. And there did they disarm, with many a mirthful rede, the knight of Byrny bright, and of his warlike weed. Then rich robes in their stead, I trow they swiftly brought, and for the changes they chose the choicest to their thought. Then soon he did them on, and I would have ye know, right well became the knight those skirts of seemly flow. That hero fair of face he seemed verily, to all men who his mien and hue might nearer see. So sweet and lovesome there, of limbs so light they thought, that never Christ on earth a comelier had wrought. That knight through the world far and near might well be deemed of right, a prince with ne'er a peer, in field of fiercest fight. A chair before the fire of charcoal burning bright, they set for good Gawain with cloth all draped and dight. Cushion and footstool fit, the twain they were right good. Then men a mantle cast around him as he stood. 'Twas of blyant brown, broidered in rich device, and fairly furred within with pelts of goodly price. Of whitest ermine all, and even so the hood. Down in that seemingly seat he sat, the gallant good, and warmed him at the fire. Then bettered was his cheer. On trestles fairly set they fix a table near, and spread it with a cloth that shone all clean and white. Napkin and salt cellar with silver spoons so bright. The knight washed at his will, and set him down to eat. Sergeants they served him there in seemingly wizen meat, with diverse dishes sweet and seasoned of the best. A double portion then they set before the guest, of fishes baked in bread, or boiled on glowing wood. Anon came fishes seething, or stewed with spices good, with choicest dainties there, as pleasing to his taste. The knight he quoth full oft, a feast that board had graced. Then all as with one voice this answer made in haste: Fair friend, this penance shall ye take, it shall ye well amend, much mirth the knight did make, for wine did gladness lend. The hosts and courteous wise the truth are fain to know, of this their goodly guest if he his name will shew. As courteously he quoth, he from that court did fare, holden of good renown, where Arthur rule did bear. Rich royal king was he, o'er all the table round, and 'twas Gawain himself, who here had haven found. Hither for Christmas come, as chance had ruled it right. Then when the Lord had learned he had for guest that night, loudly be laughed for joy, he deemed such tidings good. All men within the moat they waxed of mirthful mood, to think that they that tide should in his presence be, who for his prowessness prized and purest courtesy, that doth to him belong, was praised everywhere. Of all men upon the earth none might with him compare. Now each to his fellows said, full softly, Now shall we the seemingly fashioned fare of courts full fitly see, with faultless form of speech and trick of noble word, what charm in such may be that shall, unasked, be heard. Since here the Father fine of courtesy we greet, methinks Christ sheweth us much grace and favor meet, in granting us such guests for Yule as good Gawain, when men blithe for his birth to sit methinks are fain, and sing customs of courtesy. This knight to us shall teach, and from his lips may be, will learn of love the speech. By that was dinner done, the knight from table rose, the eventide drew nigh, the night was near its close. The chosen chaplains there to chapel go forthright, loudly the bells they ring, e'en as was fit and right. To solemn evensong of this high feast they go, the Lord the prayers would hear, his lady fair also. To comely closet closed she entereth straightway, and even so full soon follows Sir Gawain gay. The Lord his lappet took, and led him to a seat, hailing him by his name, in guise of friendship meet. Of all knights in the world, was he most welcome there. He thanked him in twain embrace with kisses fair, and soberly they sit throughout the service high. Then 'twas the lady's will to see that knight with eye. With many a maiden fair she cometh from her place. Fairest was she in skin, in figure, and in face, of height and color too, in every way so fair, that e'en Gaynor the queen might scarce with her compare. She thro' the chancel came to greet that hero good, led by another dame, who at her left hand stood. Older she was, I trow, and reverend seemingly, with goodly following of nobles, verily. But unlike the sight, I trow, those ladies were. Yellow the older dame, whereas the first was fair. The cheeks of one were red, e'en as the rose doth glow. The other wrinkles rough and plenty did she show. The younger kerchief soft, with many a pearl so white, where that her breast and throat full well displayed to sight. Whither they were that snow that on the hills doth lie. The other's neck was veiled and gorget folded high, that all her chin so black was swathed in milk-white folds. Her forehead all, I ween, in silk was wrapped and rolled. Broidered it was full fair, adorned with knots enow, till naught of her was seen, save the black bristly brow. Her eyes, her nose, I ween, and eke her lips were bare, and those were ill to see, so bleared and sour they were. Meet mistress upon mould, so men might her declare, That tide, short and thick set was she, her hips were broad and wide, and fairer far to see, the lady at her side. When Gawain saw that dame, gracious of mien and gay, leave from his host he craved, and towards her took his way. The elder bore low, he fittingly doth greet, lightly within his arms he folds the lady sweet, gives her a comely kiss, as fit from courteous knight. She hailed him as her friend, a boon he praised forthright. Her servant would he be, and so her will it were. Betwixt the twain he walks, and talking still they fare, to hall and e'en to hearth, and at lord's command, spices in plenty great are ready to their hand. With wine that maketh gay at feast time as is meet, the lord in laughing wise he sprang unto his feet, bade them make mirth enow, all men his words must hear. His hood he doffed from head, and hung it on a spear, and quoth that same man worship thereof should win, who made the greatest mirth that Christmas tide within. I'll fail not by my faith to frolic with the best, ere that my hood I lose, with help of every guest. And thus with joyous jest the Lord doth try withal, to gladden Sir Gawain with games in this his hall. That night, till the torches flare, he needs must bid them light. Gawain must from them fare, and seek his couch forthright. Then on the morrow morn, when all men bear in mind how our dear Lord was born to die for all mankind, joy in each dwelling dwells, I wot well, for his sake. So did it there that day when men high feast would make. But then at every meal, messes full richly dressed, man served upon the dais with dainties of the best. That ancient lady there doth fill the highest seat, the castle's lord I trow, beside her as was meet. Sir Gawain hath his place beside that lady grey, at midmost of the board, when meat was served alway. And then through all the hall each one, as seemed him the best, sat each his degree, fitly they served each guest. Much meat they had, and mirth with joy, and merry song. Methinks to tell thereof would take me overlong, although perchance I strove to tell that tale as meet. I wot well that Gawain and this the lady sweet, in their fair fellowship much comfort needs must find, in the dear dalliance of words and glances kind, and converse courteous, from all unfitness free. Such pastime fittings were for prince in purity. Sweet strain of trumps and piping clear, and drum doth sound amain. Each doth his minstrel hear, and even so the twain. Much mirth they made that day, and e'en the morrow's morn, nor slackened of the feast, when the third day was born. The joy of sweet St. John, gentle it was to hear. The folk they deemed the feast fast to its end drew near. The guests must needs depart, e'en in the dawning grey. Full early did they rise, and serve the wine straightway. Danced carols merrily, so blithe the day they passed, and when the hour waxed late, they took their leave at last. Each one to wend his wary way, when as the day should break, Gawain would bid good day, his hand the Lord doth take. To his own chambers lead, and by the chimney wide, to thank his guest full fain, he draweth him aside. Thanks him for worship fair, that he from him had won, and for the honor high he to his house had done, by lending countenance unto this Christmas feast. Of honors while I live, I'll count this not the least, that Gawain this my guest at Christ's own feast hath been. Gramercy, quoth Gawain, in all good faith I ween, the honor it is yours, and may Christ you repay. I wait upon your word, to do your will alway, as I be bound thereto by night, and e'en by day, of right, the Lord he was full fain, to keep with him the night. Then answered him Gawain, that he in no wise might. The Lord he courteous prayed, that he would tell him there what deed of daring drove Gawain afar to fare, e'en at this time from court, and thus alone to wind, before this holy feast had come unto an end. In sooth, sir, quoth the knight, ye speak the truth away. A hasty quest and high doth send me on my way. For I myself must seek and find a certain place, and withward to wend I wot not by God's grace. Nor would I miss my tryst at New Year by my soul, for all the land of Logres. Christ help me to my goal. Therefore, sir host, I now require ye without fail to tell me here in truth, if ye e'er heard a tale told of a chapel green, where such a place may be. The knight who keepeth it, green too, I ween, is he. We swear a forward fast, I trow, between us twain, that I that man would meet might I thereto attain, and to that same New Year but few days now remain. Now fainer far would I behold that self same night, if so it were God's will, than any gladder sight. Therefore with your good will I needs must wend my way, since I have for my queen but 3 bare days alway. Fainer were I to die than fail in this my quest. Then laughing quoth the Lord, of needs must be my guest. I'll shew to thee thy goal, ere yet the term be o'er. That very chapel green, so vex thy soul no more. Do thou in bed abide, and take thine ease, I pray, until the 4th day dawn, with New Year go thy way, and thou shalt reach thy goal ere yet it be midday. So still to the New Year abide, then rise, thy goal is near. Men shall thee thither guide, 'tis not 2 miles from here. Sir Gawain he was glad, and laughed out gay and free. I thank ye, sire, for this o'er all your courtesy. Achieved is this my quest, and I shall at your will within your burg abide, and do your pleasure still. The Lord he took that night, and set him at his side, and bade the ladies come to cheer them at that tide. Though they had of themselves fair solace verily, the host for very joy he jested merrily, as one for meed of mirth scarce wist what he might say. Then turning to the knight he cried on him alway, didst swear to do the deed I should of thee request. Now art thou ready here to hearken my behest? Ye sire, forsooth am I, so quoth that hero true. While in your burg I bide, servant am I to you. Now, quoth the host, methinks your travail sore hath been. Here hast thou walked with me, nor had thy fill, I ween, of sustenance or sleep, and thou thine host wouldest plea. Thou shalt lie long in bed, and lingering take thine ease, at morn nor rise for mass, but eat as thou shalt stay. E'en when thou wilt, my wife with thee a while shall stay, and solace thee with speech, till I my homeward way have found, for I betimes shall rise, a hunting am I bound. Gawain this his device doth grant him at that stound. First, quoth the host, we'll make a forward fair and free. What errand would I win, the profit thine shall be. What cheer thou shalt achieve, shalt give me gainst my gain. Now swear me here with truth, to keep this twixt us twain. Whate'er our hap may be, or good or ill befall, by God, quoth good Gawain, I grant ye this withal. And such play pleaseth you, forsooth it pleaseth me. Now bring the beverage here, the bargain set shall be. So quoth the castle's lord, and each one laughed, I trow. They drank and dallied there, and dealt with sport enow. Those lords and ladies fair, e'en as it liked them best, and so in friendship fair, with many a courteous jest. They stood and stayed a while, and spake with softest speech, then kissed at parting e'en, as courtesy doth teach. And then with service fit, and many a torch alight, unto his bed at last they brought each gallant knight. Again, yet ere their couch they sought, the covenant twixt the twain, the Lord to memory brought, for jesting was he fain.
Full early ere 'twas day, the folk arise withal. The guests would go their way, upon their grooms they call. They busk them busily to saddle each good steed. The girths they tighten there, and trust the mails at need. The nobles ready all, in riding gear arrayed, leapt lightly to their steeds, their hand on their bridle laid. Each wight upon his way doth at his will ride fast. The lord of all the land, I wot, was not the last. Ready for riding he, with his men at the same, ate a sop hastily, when as for mass they came. With blast of bugle, bold forth upon bent he'd go, ere yet the day had dawned on the cold earth below. He and his knights bestrode, each one their horses high. The huntsman couple then the hounds right speedily, then calling on the dogs, unclose the kennel door. A bugle blast they blow, but 3 notes and no more. Loudly the brackets bay, and wake the echoes there. They check their hounds so good who to chase would fare. 100 men all told, so doth the tale declare, ride fast. The trackers on the trail, the hounds uncoupled cast, through forest, hill, and dale, rings loud the bugle blast. At the first warning note that bade the hunt awake, the deer within the dale for dread they needs must quake. Swift to the heights they hie, but soon must turn about. The men in ambush hid, so loud they cry and shout. The harts with heads high held, they pass in safety there. E'en so the stately stags with spreading antlers fair. For so the Lord's command at close time of the year, that none should lift his hand save 'gainst the female deer. The hinds with hag and war, they hold the lines within. The does are driven back to dale with deafening din. Swift as they speed, I trow, fair shooting might ye see, the arrows striking true as 'neath the boughs they flee. Their broad heads deeply wound and smitten on the flank. The bleeding deer they fall, dying upon the bank. The hounds in hasty course follow upon the trail. Huntsmen with sounding horns, for speed they do not fail. Follow with ringing cries that cliffs might cleave in twain. The deer that 'scape the darts, they by the dogs are ta'en. Run down and riven and rent within the bound so wide, harassed upon the hill, worried by waterside. The men well know their craft of forest and of flood. The greyhounds were swift to follow through the wood. They caught them ere the men with arrows as they stood could smite. The Lord was glad and gay, his lance he wielded light. With joy he passed the day, till fell the shades of night. The Lord he maketh sport beneath the woodland bough. Sir Gawain, that good knight, in bed he lieth now, hiding while daylight gleamed upon the walls without, 'neath costly covering fair, curtained all round about. As he half slumbering lay, it seemed to his ear, a small sound at his door, all sudden must he hear. His head a little raised above the covering soft, he grasps the curtain's edge and lifteth it aloft, and waiteth warily to what fate may hold. It was the lady fair, most lovely to behold. Gently she drew the door closed behind her, closing tight, and came toward the couch. Shamed was that gallant knight. He laid him lightly down, and made as though he slept. So stole she to his side, and light and soft she stepped. The curtain upward cast, within its folds she crept, and there upon his bed her seat she soft doth take, waiting in patience, still until that he awake. Cautious and quiet, a while the knight half hidden lay, and in his conscience conned the case with care alway. What might the meaning be, he marveled much I trow, yet quoth within himself, it were more seemly now to speak with gentle speech, ask what her will may be. So made he faint to wake, and turn him presently. Lifted his eyelids then, and stared as in amaze, made of the cross the sign, that so his words and ways be wise. Her chin and cheeks are sweet, and red and white device. Gracious she doth him greet, with laughing lips and eyes. Good morrow, Sir Gawain, she spake the lady fair. A careless sleeper ye, I came ere ye were ware. Now are ye trapped and ta'en, as ye shall truly know. I'll bind ye in your bed, ere that ye hence should go. Laughing, the lady lanced her jests at him alway. Sir Gawain answered blithe, Give ye good morning gay. No, I am at your will, forsooth it pleaseth me, and here for grace I yearn, yielding me readily. For where one needs must yield, to do so swift were best. And thus he answers made, with many a merry jest. But might I, lady fair, find grace before your eyes, then loose I pray your bonds, and bid your prisoner rise. I'd get me from this bed, and better clad I trow. I in your converse kind comfort would find enow. Nay, nay, forsooth, woo, sire, so quoth that lady sweet, ye shall not rise from bed, I'll read ye counsel meet, or I shall hold ye here, since other may not be, and talk with this my knight, who captive is to me, for well I know in sooth ye are that same Gawain, worshipped by all the world, where ye too fair be fain. For all your honor praise, your gracious courtesy, or lords or ladies fair, all men on earth that be. Now are ye here, I wis, and all alone we twain. My lord's to fare afield with his free folk is fain. The men they lie abed, so do my maidens all. The door is safely shut, and closed and hasped withal. Since him whom all men praise, I in my hand hold fast, I well will use my time, the while the chance doth last. Now rest, my body's at your will, to use as ye think best. Perforce I find me still, servant to this my guest. In good faith, quoth Gawain, I now bethink me well, I be not such an one as this your tale would tell, to reach such reverence as ye rehearse but now. I am unworthy were, that do I soothly vow. Yet, God would I were glad, and so ye thought it good, if I in word and deed here at your service stood. To pleasure this your prayer, a pure joy 'twere to me. In good faith, Sir Gawain, the lady answered free, the prowess and the praise that please us ladies fair, I lack not nor hold light, but little gain it were. Ladies there be enow, to whom it were more dear, to hold their knight in hold, e'en as I hold ye here, to dally daintily with courteous words and fair, that bring them comfort good, and cure them of their care, that wealth of treasure told, or gold they own withal. But now I praise the Lord, who here upholdeth all. Him whom they all desire is in my holden hall of grace. She made him such good cheer, that lady fair of face, the knight was fain to hear, and answer in his place. He quoth, Now merry maid, reward ye as she may, I find your frankness fair and noble, sooth to say. Full many folk, I trow, have well entreated me, yet greater honor far than all their courtesy. I count your praise, who not save goodness here shall know. By merry maid, she quoth, methinks it is not so, for were my worth above all women who may live, and all of this world's wealth were in mine hand to give,
and I were free of choice a lord to choose to me. Then, for the custom's good, I in this knight must see, for beauty debonair, for bearing blithe and gay, for all that I have heard, and hold for truth alway. Upon no man non mold, save ye my choice were laid.
I wot well, quoth the knight, a better choice ye made. Yet am I proud of this, the praise ye give to me. My sovereign ye, and I your servant, verily. Do yield me here your knight, and may Christ ye repay. They spake of many things, till noon had passed away, and I the lady made mean that she loved him well, and I he turned aside her sweet words as they fell. For were she brightest maid of maidens to his mind, the less love would he shew, since loss he thought to find anon. The blow that should him slay, and for his blow was boon, the lady leave did pray, he granted her full sue. Then as she gave good day, she laughed with glance so gay, and standing spake a word that stonied him alway. May he who speedeth speech reward thee well, I trow, but that ye be Gawain, I much misdoubt me now. And wherefore, quoth the knight in fashion frank and fair, fearing lest he have failed in custom debonair. The lady blessed him then, and spake as in this wise, Gawain so good a knight is holden in all eyes. So clad in courtesy is he, in sooth, that ne'er had he thus holden speech for long with lady fair, but he had craven a kiss by this his courtesy, or trifling token ta'en at end of converse free. Then quoth Gawain, Yewis, if this ye fitting deem, I'll kiss at your command, as doth a knight beseem, who tarrieth to ask, and doth refusal fear. She clasped him in her arms, e'en as she stood anear. Lightly she bent down, and kissed that knight so free, commending him to Christ, as he her, courteously. Then without more ado, forth from the door she went. The knight made haste to rise, on speed was he intent. He called his chamberlain, his robes he chose anon. When he was fitly garbed, to mass he blithe has gone. Then sat him down to meat, 'twas served in fitting guise. Merry he passed the day, until the moon did rise, made game. Better was never knight, entreated of fair dame, old or of beauty bright, than he was at the same. And I the lord in lands find sport unto his mind, hunting o'er hill and heath, chasing the barren hind. So many hath he slain, ere yet the sun was low. Of does and other deer, a wonder 'twas to know. The folk together flock, when as the end drew near, quickly a quarry make of all the slaughtered deer. The best they bowed thereto, with many a knight to aid. The fairest hinds of Greece together they have laid. Set them to quartering there, e'en as the need doth ask. The fat was set aside by those who knew their task. From all uncleanness freed, the flesh they sever there. The chest they slit, and draw the herber forth with care. With knife both sharp and keen, the neck they next divide. Then sever all four limbs, and strip off fair the hide. The belly open slit, the bowels aside they lay. With swift strokes of the knife the knot they cut away. They grip the gargolin, and speedily divide. We sand and windpipe then, the guts are cast aside. The shoulder blade around, with blades so sharp and keen, they cut and leave the side whole and untouched, I ween. The breast they deftly carve, the halves they lie atwin, and with the gargolin their work they now begin. They rip it swiftly up, and take it clean away, void the avancers out, and then methinks straightaway. The skin betwixt the ribs they cut in fashion fair, till they have left them all e'en to the backbone bare.
So come they to the haunch that doth belong thereto. They bear it up all whole, and cleanly cut it through, that with the numbles take alike they be the two of kind. Then where the thighs divide, the flaps they cut behind, and thus on either side thighs from the back unbind. Then head and neck alike they hew them off with heed. The sides from off the chine are sundered now with speed. The corby's fee they cast into the wood hard by. Each thick side through the ribs they pierce it fairly, and hang them all aloft, fixed to the haunches fair. Each fellow for his fee doth take a fitting there. Then on a deer skin spread they give the hounds their food, the liver, lights, and paunches to keep the custom good. And bread soaked in the blood they scatter mid the pack. The hounds they bay amain, nor bugle blast doth lack. Thus with the venison good they take their homeward way, sounding upon their horns a merry note and gay. By that the day was done, the folk with eventide that comely castle sought, wherein their guest doth bide. Full still, to bliss and firelight bright, the Lord is come at will, to meet that goodly knight. Of joy they had their fill. Then at the Lord's command, the folk they thither call. Quickly the ladies come, and maidens one and all. And there before the folks he bids his men straightaway the venison they have brought before them all to lay. And then in goodly jest he calleth Sir Gawain, the tale of that day's sport he to rehearse is fain. Shews him how fair the fat upon the ribs, sharp shorn, and quoth, "How seemeth this? Have I won praise this morn? Am I throw? This is my craft, worthy of praise from thee." "Yea, soothly," quoth Gawain, "the fairest game I see, that I in winter time have seen this 7 year." "And all this," quoth the host, "Gawain, I give thee here, by covenant and accord. The whole thou well mayst claim." "The sooth," then said the knight, "I grant ye at this same. One have I worthily a prize, these walls within, which with as good a will ye now from me must win." With that he clasps his arms around his neck so fair, and in right comely wise he kissed him then and there. "Now here hast thou my gain, no more hath fallen to me. I trow had it been more my gift were none less free." "'Tis good," quoth the knight, "nor shall my thanks be slow. Yet might it better be, and I the truth might know, where thou didst win this grace, or by thy wit or no." "Ask no more," quoth Gawain, "so did our forward stand. Since ye have ta'en your right, no more may ye demand." At will they laughed and made them gay, with many a jest I trow. To supper go straight away, with dainties new and now. Then by the hearth they sit on silken cushions soft, and wine within those walls I wot they serve full oft. And ever as they jest come morrow morn, they say that for they'll fulfill which they had kept today. What chance soe'er betide, they will exchange their gain, when they at nightfall meet, be much or little ta'en. This covenant they accord in presence of the court. And beverage to the board at that same time was brought. A courteous leave at last doth each from other take, and each man for his bed himself doth ready make. The cock at early morn had crowed and cackled thrice, when swift the lord arose, with him his knights of price. They hearken mass and meat, with service fit they bring, then forth to forest fair ere yet the day doth spring. For chance, with sound of hunters' horns, o'er a plain they swiftly pace, uncoupled midst the thorns, each hound doth run on race. Full soon they strike the scent, hard by a rock withal. Huntsmen cheer on those hounds who first upon it fall. Loudly with whirling words and clamors rising high, the hounds that heard the call haste hither at the cry. Fast on the scent they fall, full 40 at that tide, till of the pack the cry was heard both far and wide. So fiercely rose their bay, the rocks they rang again, the huntsmen with their horns to urge them on were fain. Then sudden all the pack together crowd and cry, before a thicket dense beneath a crag full high. Hard by the water's edge, the pack with one consent run to the rugged rocks which lie all scarred and rent. Hounds to the finding fair, the men they follow keen, and cast about the crag and rocks that lie between. The knights full well they knew what beast had here its lair, and fain would drive it forth before the bloodhounds there. Then on the bush they beat, and bid the game uprise, with sudden rush across the beaters out their highs, a great and grisly boar, most fearsome to behold. The herd he long had left, or that he waxed full old. Of beast and boar methinks biggest and fiercest he, I trow me at his grunt full many grieved must be. 3 at the first assault prone on the earth he threw, and sped forth at best speed, nor other harm they knew. Then hey and hey the knights halloo with shout and cry, huntsmen with horn to mouse and forth shrill notes and high. Merry the noise of men and dogs, I ween that tide, who followed on the boar, with boastful shout they cried, to stay, the hound's wrath would he quell, oft as he turned to bay, loudly they yelp and yell, his tusks they tear alway. The men make ready then their arrows sharp and keen, the darts they swiftly fly, oft is he hit I ween. But never point may pierce, nor on his hide have hold, and never barb may bite his forehead's fearsome fold. The shafts are splintered there, shivered they needs must fall. The heads they bit indeed, yet but rebound withal. But when he feels the blows, though harmless all they fell, then mad for rage he turned, and venged him passing well. He rushed upon the knights, and wounded them full sore, until for very fear they fled his face before. The lord on steed swift paced, doth follow on his track, blowing his bugle loud, nor valor doth he lack. Thus through the wood he rides, his horn rings loud and low, upon the wild boar's track, until the sun was low. And so the winter's day he passeth on this wise, the while his goodly guest in bed, neath covering lies. Sir Gawain bides at home, in gear of rich device, and Hugh the dame made no delay, to greet her knight so true. Early she took her way, to test his mood anew. She to the curtain comes, and looks upon the knight. Gawain doth greet her there, in fitting wise and right. She greeteth him again, ready of speech is she, soft seats her at his side, and laughs full merrily. Then with a smiling glance, these words to him doth say, Sir, an ye be Gawain, I marvel much alway. So stern ye be when one would goodly ye entreat, of courteous company ignore the customs meet, and one be fain to teach, swift from your mind they're bought, since all forgotten now what yesterday I taught. By truest tokens all, that well might be I trow. And what is that, quoth Gawain? Not I remember now. But if is sooth ye speak, then blame I needs must bear. Of kissing was my rede, so quoth the lady fair. When countenance be known, swiftly a kiss to claim, that doth become a knight, who beareth courteous name. Nay, cease, my dear, such speech, quoth the gallant knight. A kiss I dare not claim, lest ye deny my right. For an ye did forbid, to take I trow were wrong. I faith, in merry wise she spake, ye be too strong, ye may not be forbid, since ye may take with might, and any do such wrong as to deny thy right. Yea, quoth Gawain, by Christ your speech it soundeth well, but threats shall little thrive in that land where I dwell. Nor count we fair a gift that is not proffered free. I am at your command to kiss, if so shall be. Your will to take or leave, as seemeth good to ye. With grace she bent that lady fair, and kissed his face. they hold sweet converse there. Of love theme speak a space.
Fain would I ask of ye,
That lady questioned free,
if so ye were not wroth, what may the reason be, that one so young and fair as ye be at this tide, for knightly courtesy, renowned both far and wide, who of all chivalry the head and chief men hold, versed in the lore of love and warfare, fierce and bold. Since each true knight doth tell how he did venture dare, this token and this sign his deeds perforce must bear. How for a lady's love his life at stake he set, and for her favor fair full doleful dints hath met, with valor's venged her wrongs and cured her of her care, brought bliss unto her bower, and did her bounty share. And ye be comeliest knights of this your land and time, your worship and your words be famed in every clime. And I 2 mornings long have sat beside ye here, yet never from your mouth a word came to mine ear, that ever dealt with love in measure less or more, but ye so courteous held, so skilled in all such lore. Surely to one so young as I should swiftly shew, and teach some token sure, whereby true love to know. Are ye unlearned then, whom men so highly prize? Or am I all too dull for dalliance in your eyes? For shame, hither I come and sit, to learn as at this same. So teach me of your wit, while sport my lord doth claim.
In good faith, quoth Gawain, your good deeds God repay, for goodly is my glee, my profit great alway. That one so fair as ye doth deign betake ye here, to please so poor a man and me, your knight, to cheer. With kindly countenance, in sooth doth please me well, but that I, in my turn, should hear of true love tell, and take that for my theme, or tales of gallant knight. And teach ye who I want doth wield more skilful sleight, in such arts by the half or 100-fold indeed, than I, long as I live on earth, may win for meed. 'Twere folly all indeed, sweet lady, by my fay, your will and troth I'll work in such wise as I may. As duteous I am bound, and evermore will do your service faithfully, God grant me grace thereto. Thus did she ask him fair, and oft did test and try, to win him here to woo, whate'er her will thereby. But he doth fend him fair, nor ill hath done I ween, and never deed of wrong hath chanced the twain between, but bliss they laugh and talk amain. At last she doth him kiss, her leave of him hath ta'en, and gone her way I wis. Then doth Sir Gawain rise, and robe him mass to hear. Then was the dinner dight, and served with mickle cheer. Thus with the ladies twain, in sport the day he spent, the while the lord doth chase the boar o'er bank and bent. Follows the grisly swine, as o'er the holts it sped, with broken back his hounds beneath its jaws fall dead. The boar would bide at bay, the bowman grant no grace, but force him 'gainst his will once more his foes to face. So fast the arrows fly, the folk they gathered round, yet huntsman stiff and stern he startles at that sound, till spent with flight at last he may no further win, but hies him in all haste until a hole within, a mound beside a rock, hard by the brooklet's flow. He gains, then turns at bay, tearing the ground below. His jaws they foam and froth, unseemly to behold. He whets his tusks so white, was never man so bold. Of those who faced him there, who dare the issue try? They eye him from afar, but none will venture nigh. Right wroth many he smote before, thus all might well be loath to face the tusks that tore, so mad he, I troth. Then cometh swift the lord, spurring his goodly steed, seeth the boar at bay, of his men taketh heed. He lighteth from his horse, leaves it with hanging rein, draws out his blade so bright, and strideth forth amain. Fast as he ford the stream, the boar bides on the strand, whereof the gallant wight with weapons fast in hand, his bristles rise amain, Grim were his snarls and withal. The folk were sore afraid lest harm their lord befall. The swine with spring so swift upon the hero fell, that boar and bear and bold none might asunder tell. There in the water deep, the boar he had the worst, for the man marked him well e'en as they met at first. His sharp blade in the slot he set e'en to the heft, and driving hard and true the heart asunder cleft. Snarling he yields his hold, the stream him hence hath reft. Forthright the hounds with fierce onslaught fall to the boar they bite. Swift to the shores he's brought, and dogs to death him dight. Forthwith from many a horn a joyful blast they blow. Huntsmen together vie, high rings the loud hallo. The brackets bay their best, e'en at their master's will, who in that fearsome chance had proven their hunter's skill. And then a wight so wise in woodcraft fit and fair, the quarry to unlace hath set him straightway there. He heweth off the head, and setteth it on high. With skill he rendered down the backbone presently. Then bringing forth the bowels, roast them on embers red, and to reward his hounds doth blend them with their bread. He strippeth off the brawn, e'en as in shields it were. The hastles hath he ta'en, and drawn them forth with care. The halves he taketh now, and binds them as a whole, with witty stiff and stout, made fast unto a pole. And with that self-same swine homeward they fare through land. The boar's head do they bear before their lord on brand, who slew him in the ford by force of his right hand. So strong till he might see Gawain, in hall he deemed it long. His guest he was full fain to pay nor do him wrong. The lord with merry jest and laugh of gladsome glee, soon as he saw Gawain spake words both fair and free. The ladies too he bade, e'en with the household all. The boar's shield doth he show, and tells his tale withal. How broad he was, how long, how savage in his mood, that grisly swine, and how they chased him through the wood. Sir Gawain doth commend his deeds in comely wise. Well hath he proved himself to win so fair a prize. For such a brawny beast, so spake that baron bold, and such shields of swine mine eyes did ne'er behold. They handle the huge head, the knight doth praise it well, and loud and fair his speech his host his mind may tell. Gawain, quoth the good man, this gain is sure your own, by forward fair and fast e'en as before was shown. Ye, quoth the knight, 'tis true, and hereto by my troth, I give ye all my gain, nor thereto am I loth. With that he clasped his host, and doth him kindly kiss, and so a second time he did the same I wis. Now are we, quoth Gawain, quit in this eventide, of forwards all we made, since I with ye abide. In hall, the lord quoth, by St. Giles, I hold ye best withal. Rich are ye in short, while your profits be not small. The tables then they bring, on trestles set aloft, and covered them as meet, with cloths both fair and soft. Clear falleth on the halls, of waxen torch the light. Sitteth to service fair, they set them many a night. Then clamor glad in glee arose within the hall, where flares the flame on floor, they make much mirth withal. They sing and as they sup, and after night so true, fair songs of Christmastide, and many a carol new, with every kind of mirth that man to tell were fain. And by that lady's side he sat, the good Gawain. Such semblance fair she made, and seemly wise and meet, to please the gentle knight, with stolen glances sweet. Whereat he marvelled much, and chid himself amain, yet for his courtesy would answer not again. Dealing in dainty wise, till fate the die was fain, the cast thus made they mirth in hall, long as their will did last. Then when the lord did call, to chimney corner passed. They drank and dallied there, and deemed 'twere well to hold their forward fast and fair till New Year's Eve were told. But Gawain prayed his leave, with morrow's morn to ride, since it were nigh the term his challenge to abide. The lord withheld his leave, praying him straight to stay. As I be faithful knight, I pledge my troth alway. Thou shalt thy trust fulfill, there at the chapel green, before the New Year's morn hath waxed to prime, I ween. So lie and rest thee soft, and take thine ease at will, and I shall hunt the holts, and keep our forward still. To change my gain with thee, all that I homeward bear, twice have I tested thee, and found thee true and fair. A third time will we try our luck at dawn of day. Now think ye upon joy, be merry while ye may, for men may laugh at loss, if so their will away. Gawain doth grant the grace, and saith he will abide. Blithely they brought him drink, and then to bed they hied. With light Sir Gawain lies and sleeps, soft through the stilly night. The Lord his covenant keeps, for chase is early dight. A morsel after mass he taketh with his men, merry the morning tide his mount he prayeth then. They who a horse should hold him company that day, assaddle all their steeds before the hall gate stay. Full fair it was a field, the frost yet fast doth cling. Ruddy and red the sun its rising beams doth fling, and clear and cloudless all appears the welkin wide. The huntsmen scatter them hard by a woodland side. The rocks they rang again before the horn's loud blast. Some fell upon a track where late a fox had passed. The trail may oft betray, though fox no feint doth lack. A hound hath found the scent, the hunt is on his track. The dogs they follow fast, and thick the hue and cry. They run and rabble rout on the trail speedily. The fox he fled apace, the hounds their prey have seen, and once within their sight, they follow fast and keen. Loudly they threaten there, with cry and clamor fierce. The fox with twist and turn, the undergrowth doth pierce. Winding and hearkening oft, low through the hedge doth creep. Then by a little ditch doth o'er a spinney leap. So still he stealeth forth by rough and rugged way, thinking to clear the wood and cheat the hounds that day. Then ere he wist I trow, to hunter's tryst he came. Threatened he was threefold, by hounds as at the same. From fray he starteth swift aside, and fled as he were fay. Fain was he at that tide to seek the woodland way. 'Twas lively then to list the hounds as loud they cry. When all the pack had met and mingled speedily, such wrath methinks adown upon his head they call, as all the climbing cliffs had clashed unto their fall. Hunters with loud hallo at sight of their prey do hail. Loudly they chide the fox, nor scolding speech doth fail. Threaten him once and oft, and thief they call him there. The hounds are on his trail, tarry he may not dare. Oft would they him outrun, and head him ere he passed. Double again he must, wily the fox and fast. Thus by his skill he led, master and huntsman bold, o'er hill over dale, by mount, by woodland, and by wold. While the good knight at home doth soundly sleep, I ween, all comely curtained round on morning cold and keen. But love the lady fair had suffered not to sleep, that purpose to impair which she in heart doth keep. Quickly she rose her up, and thither took her way, and mantle meet and wrapped, which swept the ground away. Within 'twas finely furred, and bordered with the same. No gold doth bind her head, but precious stones aflame. Within her tresses wound, by 20's cluster fair. Her face and eke her throat the mantle leaveth bare. Bare is her snow-white breast, and bare her back to sight. Passing the chamber door, she shuts it close and tight. Setting the window wide, she calls her knight away, and laughing chideth him in merry words and gay. With cheer, "Ah man, why doth thou sleep? The morn dawns fair and clear." Gawain in slumber deep, dreaming, her voice did hear. Drowsing he dreamed the night, a dream with travail fraught, as men in morning hours are plagued with troubled thought, how destiny next morn his weird should duly dight, when at the chapel green he needs must meet that night, and there his buffet bride, nor make therefore debate. But came that comely dame, his wits he summoned straight, aroused him from his sleep, and spake full speedily. That lady drew anigh, sweet was her smile to see. She bent her o'er his face and kissed him fair and free. A greeting fit he gave, in words of gladsome cheer. So glorious her guise, clad in such goodly gear, her features faultless all, her color fair and fine. The springs of joy well free, warming his heart like wine. Their seemly smiles full, swift were smitten into mirth, bliss and good fellowship betwixt the twain to birth. Did win, their words were fair and good, weal reigned those walls within, yet peril twixt them stood, nor might she nearer win. She pressed that prince of price so close I trow that day, leaning so nigh her point that needs upon him lay, to take her proffered love, or roughly say her nay, for courtesy his care lest he be craven knight, and more lest mischief fall in that he sin outright, and thus betray his host, the lord of house and hall. God shield me, quoth the knight, that e'er such chance befall. Forthwith with laughter light he strove to lay aside all speech of special grace her lips might speak that tide. Then quoth she to the knight, I hold ye worthy blame, and ye loved not that life which here your love doth claim, and lieth wounded here above all else on earth. Save ye a true love have ye hold of better worth, and to that lady fair your faith so fast ye hold. Ye may not list my words, save ye that tale have told. That will I not believe, I pray ye of a sooth, for all the love on life, hide not from me the truth. For guile, the knight quoth, by St. John, and gaily did he smile, of true love have I none, nor will I for a while. That word, the lady quoth, methinks hath grieved me more, yet I answer take although I sorrow sore. But kiss me kindly now, ere yet I go my way, my fate to mourn on mould, as she who loveth may. Sighing she swayed adown, and kissed the knight so good, then raised her up again, and spake e'en as she stood, At this our parting dear, dear grant me this grace for love, give me somewhat a gift, if it be but thy glove, that I may think on thee, and so my grief may still. Now I wis, quoth the knight, I would I had at will the thing I hold on earth, most precious it were thine. Ye have deserved, I trow, by friendship fair and fine, a guerdon goodlier far than I might e'er bestow. But here by gift of love small profit might ye know, nor were ye honored now, had ye at this time aught, or glove or other gift from Gawain as ye sought. Here through the land I fare, on errands strange and dread, no men have I with mails or trinkets at this stead. That much misliketh me, lady, for this thy sake, yet be it good or ill, each man his chance must take. Aright, thou knight of honor, nay, so spake the lady bright, though no gift be my pay, somewhat I'll give my knight. She proffered him a ring of red gold fashioned fair, a sparkling stone I trow, aloft the setting bare, its gleam in sooth outshone the sunlight's ruddy ray. I wot well that its worth no man might lightly pay. Gawain the ring refused, and readily he spake, No gift, my lady gay, of goodwill will I take, since I have naught to give, naught will I take of thee. Straightly she prayed, Gawain refused her steadfastly, swear swiftly on his sooth that ring he would not take. The lady sorely grieved, and this wise further spake, An ye refuse my ring, methinks the cause shall be, ye deem ye were too much beholden unto me. I'll here my girdle give, a lesser gift this tide. She loosened a silk lace that hung low at her side, upon her kirtle knit, beneath her mantle's fold, with green silk was it gay, entwined with threads of gold, braided in cunning wise by skillful fingers wrought. She proffered it the knight, and blithely him besought to take this as her gift, though worthless all it were. But still he said her nay, and ever steadfast sware he would not gift her gold, ere God would give him grace, while to achieve the chance towards which he set his face. Therefore I pray ye now, be not displeased at this, but let the matter be. I may not grant, I wis. Thy prayer, much do I owe to thee. For this thy gentle care, by heat, by cold I'll be, thy servant everywhere. Do ye refuse this silk? So quoth the gentle dame. For simplicity I grant ye of that same. Lo, light it is to hold, and less its cost I ween. Yet who the virtue knew that knit therein hath been, would peradventure prize it higher for its grace. Whoso shall gird himself with this same woven lace, the while 'tis knotted well, around him 'tis a charm, and no man upon mould may wreck him, hurt or harm. And ne'er may he be slain by magic or by spell. Sir Gawain in his heart that hour bethought him well, that laced jewel were against the jeopardy, which at the chapel green did wait him presently. Might he escape unslain, the slate he deemed were good. Thus suffered he her prayer, then shewed a gentler mood. She pressed on him her gift, and urged him loud and still. He granted her the grace, she gave it of good will. And for her sake besought, he tell the matter ne'er, but hide it from her lord, he swear it fast and fair, that no man save them twain should this their secret share. For not he thanked her oft, I wis, joyful of heart and thought. Her true knight did she kiss, thrice ere she leave besought. Then laughing saith farewell, and from the room doth go. For more mirth of that man I wot she may not know. When she hath gone, Gawain doth from his couch arise, and swiftly robes himself in rich and royal wise. Taketh the lovelace green, his lady's gift so fair, that wound around his waist he doth well hidden bear. Then to the chapel swift the knight doth take his way, and seeking out a priest he privily doth pray. He may his life unfold, that he may better know how his soul may be saved when he from hence shall go. Shrived was he surely there, he shewed his misdeeds all, or less they be or more, and did for mercy call. Then from the listening priest doth absolution pray. Assoiled well he was, and set as clean all way, as if the morrow's morn the day of doom shall be. Sithin he makes good cheer amid the ladies free. With comely carols there all joys men may devise, as ne'er before that day methinks had been his wise. With bliss that all men marvelled there, and said of him, I wis, such semblance gay he wear, as none had seen ere this. Now let him linger there, where love his share shall be. The Lord is yet afield, leading his folk so free. Now hath he slain the fox, that he hath chased all day, as he through a spinney sped, eager to spy his prey. There where he heard the hounds, that close on his track lay, lo Reynard running low, through tangled grove he steals, and all the yelping pack of hounds are at his heels. The night he saw the beast, and wound his coming weight, drew forth his brand so bright, and flung it swift and straight. The fox the sharp sword shunned, to swerve aside was fain. A hound doth hold him fast, ere he might turn again. Beneath the horse's feet, the pack upon him fell, worried their wily prey with many a yap and yell. The lord he lights adown, the fox he seizes there. Swiftly he snatches from out the jaws that tear. Holding him high o'erhead, he halloos loud and gay, while many a gallant hound doth around him spring and bay. Thither the huntsmen hie, their horns sound merrily, answering each to each, till all their masters see. That noble company, they gather fair and fast, all who the bugle bear, together blew a blast. While they who had no horn, they hallooed loud and clear. It was the merriest meet that ever man might hear. The clamour that was raised o'er Reynold's doom so drear, then gay the hounds they there reward, rubbing their heads that day. Now have they ta'en Reynard, and stripped his pelt away. And then they hied them home, for nightfall was full nigh. blowing a shattered blast on horn with notes so high. The lord at last alights before his home so dear. A fire he finds on floor, his guest he sitteth near. Gawain the good, who glad and joyous was withal, for mid the ladies fair, bliss to his lot did fall. He wear a robe of blue, e'en to the earth it fell. His surcoat softly furred, became him passing well. Of self-same stuff the hood upon his shoulders lay. Bordered and bound the twain with fur alike that day. His host he met forthwith, there in the midmost hall. A goodly greeting gave, and joyful spake withal. Now shall I first fulfill thy forward mine and thine, which we together swear whenas ye spared no wine. With that he clasped the knight, and gave him kisses 3, setting them on his lips with all solemnity. By Christ, then quoth the host, good fortune yours hath been, if for such chance ye gave a fair exchange, I ween. Thereof small need to speak, the hero straightway said, since light the cost and swift, methinks the price I paid. By Mary, quoth the host, in that I am behind. I hunted all this day, and yet I naught might find, save this foul fox's pelt, being take the thing all way. Methinks for precious gifts, the same were sorry pay. And ye have rendered me 3 kisses here today. Good right, enough, quoth Sir Gawain. I thank ye by the rood. Then how the fox was slain, he told him as they stood. Of mirth and minstrelsy, of meat they take their fill, and make them merry there, as men may do at will, with ladies' laughter light, and many a merry jest. So joyful were the twain, the host and his good guest. E'en as they drunken were, or e'en had waxing fay, the lord and e'en his men made many a jest so gay. Until at length the time for severance was o'erpast, each baron to his bed betook him at the last. Then first Sir Gawain good leave of his host would pray, thanking him fair and free, and thus he spake alway. For this fair sojourning, your honor be increased. The high king grant ye this, I pray, at this high feast. Your servant here am I, and so your will may be. With morn I needs must fare, e'en as I told to ye. A guide ye promise sure, to shew me to the way, to that same chapel green, where on the New Year's Day, with God's will shall be dealt my doom, and this my weird. In good faith, quoth the host, be not for that afeard. Of good will shall I give, all that to ye I hight. A servant then he called, to shew him the way aright. Fair o'er the downs, that so Gawain should have no need to win by words, but through the cope might make with speed his way. For gracious fair Gawain with gracious words would pay, and from the ladies twain his leave was loth to pray. Careful he kissed the twain, and spake them both full fair. Well may they thrive for thanks, he presseth on them there. And in the selfsame wise those ladies make reply, commending him to Christ with many a piteous sigh. Then from the household all in courteous wise he'll part, and each man that he met he thanked him from his heart, for service solace fair, and for the pains they knew. In that they busied them to do him service true, and all to say farewell. I trow such sorrow felt, as if in worthy wise long years with him they dwelt. With torches burning bright they to his chamber led, and that he well might rest, blithely brought him to bed. But that he soundly slept, in sooth I dare not say. Matter enow had he, that came with dawning day. For thought now let him lie there still. He nigheth what he sought, if hearken me ye will, I'll tell ye how they wrought.
Now nigheth the new year, past are the hours of night, and e'en as God doth will, darkness must yield to light. But weather wild awakes, e'en with the new year's birth. Aloft the driving clouds cast the keen cold to earth, and now of north therein the naked white to slay. The snow it smartly drave across the fells that day. With whistling blast the wind doth whirl it from on high,
till in each dale the drifts both wide and deep they lie. The night he hearkened well, as in his bed he lay, but though his eyes were shut, little he slept away, by every cock that crew. The hour right well he knew, and lightly gat him up, ere yet to dawn it drew. For in the chamber burned a lamp that gave him light. His chamberlain he called, who answered him forthright, bade him his byrnie bring, and saddle his good steed. The other gat him up, then swiftly fetched his weed. Then Sir Gawain, clad in fitting wise and fair, first in his clothes he's wrapped the cold from him to wear. Then he his harness doffs, that well was kept I ween. The plates, the coat of mail alike are polished clean. And of his byrnie rich, the rings from rust are freed. 'Twas fresh as the first, of thanks he fain full meed would bring. He did on him each piece, they lacked no burnishing. Gayest from here to Greece, his steed he bade them bring. The while in richest weed he doth himself array, his coat with cognizance embroidered clear and gay, on velvet rich adorned, with stones of virtue high, well wrought and bound the seams embroidered cunningly, and all with fair skins, within well furred and lined. The lace the lady's gift he doth not leave behind. Gawain forgot it not, since 'twas for his own good. He belted fast his brand around him as he stood, then twined the token twice, and drew it round him tight, while did that silken cord enswathe the goodly knight. The girdle of green silk, in sooth, beseemed him well, on cloth of royal red its hues they richly tell. But for that girdle's grace he wear it not the night, nor for the pendant's pride, though polished they and bright, nor for the glittering gold, whose gleam the ends doth light, but 'twas to save himself, when he must shortly stand, and bide without debate, from knife or glittering brand, a blow now armed the goodly knight. Forth from the hall doth go, on all who there be dight, his thanks he would bestow. Ready was Gringolet, his charger great and tall, stabled the steed had been, and fitting wise withal. Eager to start the horse delay might little brook. The knight he drew anear, and on his coat did look, spake softly to himself, and by his sooth he sware, the men within the moat for honor fitly care. May they with their good lord all joy henceforward share, and may love be her meed through life that fair lady, who thus a passing guest cherish for charity, and honor hold in hand, may he repay withal, who rules on high the folk within this goodly hall. If I my life on land might somewhat longer lead, then readily reward I'll give as fits your meed. He to the stirrup steps, and doth his steed bestride, upon his shoulder lays his shield as fit that tide. Then spurreth Gringolet, anon with spurs of gold. The steed no longer stands, but on the stone so cold doth dance. Mounted his squire, doth bear aloft his spear, and lance Christ keep this castle fair, and give it a good chance. They let the bridge adown, the gateway broad and wide, unbar and open set the door on either side. The knight he crossed himself, and past the castle bound, praising the porter good, who kneeling low on ground, gave him good day and prayed that God might save Gawain. So doth he wend his way, with one wight in his train, to lead him to that place of peril stern and grim, where he must pay the price, where bale awaiteth him. By hedgerows winds their way, where boughs are stripped and bare. Anon they climb the cliffs, where cold and chill the air. The heaven it showers upheld, but here on earth 'twas ill. In mist was merged the moor, mist clung to every hill. Each wear a cap of cloud, and cloak of mist so dank. Bubbling the brooks they break and foam upon the bank. splashed sheer upon the shores, there where they shelved adown. Ye lone and drear the way, beneath the dark woods frown, until the rising sun, with gold the hill crest crown. That tide they climbed a hill full high, white snow lay on its side. The guide who rode hard by now bade him to abide.
Now, Lord, as I was pledged, I have ye hither led. Now are ye nigh the place of note your quest is sped, that ye have stately sought and asked for specially. But now I know ye well, in sooth I'll say to ye, since ye be such a lord that men full well may love, but would ye but work my will your welfare it might prove. The place whereto ye pass, right perilous men hold. A wight doth ward that waste, the worst is he on mould. For stiff is he and stern, and over keen to strike. For height on middle earth, no man hath seen his like. Bigger of body he, than any four who won a place in Arthur's house, ye e'en were Hector won. And this his custom cursed, here at the chapel green, there passeth never man, though proud in arms I ween, but he doth do to death by dint of deadly blow. For all discourteous he, nor mercy doth he know. Chaplain be he or churl, who by that chapel rides, masked priest or hooded monk, or any man beside, is he as fain to slay as he himself to live. So soothly as he sit on steed, this rede I give. Go ye there with his will, ye come not hence alive. Trow me, I speak the truth, ye had ye 20 lives. To spend long time hath he dwelt here, his conquests know no end. Against his dents so drear, no shield may ye defend. Wherefore, Sir Gawain good, let ye this man alone, and for God's sake I pray, from this place get ye gone. Ride by some other road, Christ speed ye on your way. I'll hie me home again, but this I'll do alway. I'll take an oath by God, and all the saints that be, or by such hallows all, as shall seem best to ye, that I will hold my peace, and never tell the tale, that ye to face your foe one time for fear did fail.
Gramercy, quoth Gawain, in sooth ill pleased was he. All good may he receive who wiseth good to me. That thou wouldst silence keep, I well believe of thee. But tried be thou and true, if I should turn me here, and this thy counsel take, and fly for very fear, I were a coward knight, excused I might not be, but at the chapel green I'll chance it verily. With that same man I'll speak, e'en as shall please me well. Be it for weal or woe, as fate the lot may tell, the knave may well be stern in fight, cunning with sword and stave, yet God hath mickle might, his servant true to save.
By Mary, quoth the squire, now ye so much have said, that this your harm henceforth to your own count be laid. Since ye will lose your life, I'll hinder not nor let. Take ye your spear in hand, on head the helmet set, and ride adown this road, that by yon rock doth wind, till ye the lowest depth of yonder valley find. A little to the left, on a lawn shall ye see, within that dreary dale, the chapel verily, and him that grisly giant, who shall its keeper be. Now may God keep ye well, Sir Gawain, noble knight. For all the gold on earth, I would not an I might, in fellowship with ye, but 1 foot further go.
With that the squire he turned his horse's head, and so he spurred him with his heel, and listed not to spare, but sprang across the lawn and left the hero there, alone. By God, quoth Gawain, I'll neither greet nor groan. To God's will am I fain, to him my need is known. He spurreth Gringolet, and down the path doth ride. Close 'neath a shelving bank, a grove was at his side. He rides the rough road through, right down into the dale, then draweth rein a while, full wild he deemed that vale. No sign of dwelling place he seeth anywhere. On either side the banks rise steeply, bleak and bare, and rough and rugged rocks, with many a stony peak, that shuddering shadows cast. The place was ill to seek. Gawain he stayed his steed, and cast his glance around, and changed full oft his cheer, ere he that chapel found. Nor here 'twas seen, nor there, right strange the chance he thought. But soon upon a lawn eye his eye hath caught, a smooth hill by a bank, set close beside a burn, whereby a ford the flood forking aside doth turn. E'en as they boiled within, bubbling the water spring, the knight he turned his rein, his horse to halt doth bring. At the law lights adown, and to a linden bough, the rein in his good steed he maketh fast enow. Then hies him to the hill, and walking round about, he cons what it might be, thereof was he in doubt. A hole was at the end, and one on either side, and all with grass o'ergrown, in clumps it forms that hide. 'Twas hollow all within, e'en as a cavern old, or crevice of a crag, nor might it use be told. Right well, good lord, quoth the good knight, be this the green chapel? The devil at midnight might here to his matins tell. I wis, so quoth Gawain, that wizardry be here. 'Twere ill for prayer this place, o'ergrown with grasses sere. 'Twere fitting did that wight, who wraps himself in green, do his devotions here, in devil's wise I ween. By my 5 wits I feel, 'tis the foul fiend, in truth, who here hath given me tryst my life he seeks. Forsooth, a chapel of mischance, ill fortune may it win. 'Tis the most cursed kirk I e'en set foot within. His helmet on his head, his lamp gripped fast in hand, he nighs the rock wherein the dwelling rough doth stand. Then from the hill on high, as 'twere from out a rock, on bank beyond the brook, a noise he senses shock. It clatters thro' the cliffs, as though they would cleave in twain, as one to sharpen scythe on grinding stone were fain. Lo, let it doth wet and whir, as water through a mill. Lo, it doth rush and ring, to hear it was right ill. Then, by God, quoth Gawain, I trow that weapon sheer they sharpened for that knight, who bade me meet him here. This stound let God work as he will, no e'en elsewhere was found. Though life be forfeit, still I bleach not for a sound. With that the goodly knight he called with voice so bold, who waiteth in this place a tryst with me to hold. For here is Gawain come, here hath he found his way. If any wight will win, let him come today, or now or never, so his need be fitly sped. A voice spake from the bank, on high above his head,
Stay, and I swift will give that which I promised thee.
A while the clamor rang, still rushing rapidly. The whetstone whirled a while, ere he his foe might see, and then beneath a crag, forth from a cave he sprung, and coming from that hole, a weapon round him swung. A Danish axe new dight, wherewith the blow to deal, bound to the handle fast, was the brightest blade of steel. 4 foot long, fitly filed, no less that blade of might, and all was wrapped and bound with lace that gleamed full bright. E'en as before was he in gear of green that night. Green was he face and foot, his hair his beard's full flow, but this time on the ground that knight afoot doth go. Stalking he held the axe, steel downward at his side, thus to the water wins, and takes it in his stride. He wades not with axe, he leaps the water's stride. Fierce and bold he bestrides the bent all white in snow. That day Sir Gawain met the knight, no greeting did he pay. The other quoth,
All right,
hast thou kept tryst today?
Gawain,
Quoth the Green Knight,
now may God give thee grace. Welcome art thou, I wis, to this my dwelling place. Thy travel hast thou timed e'en as true man should do. Thou knowest the forward fast we swear betwixt us two. This day a 12-month past, thy share thereof didst take, and I this new year should fitting answer make. Here in this dale alone, I trow we be today, to deal as likes us best, with none to say us nay. Now doff thy helm from head, thy payment forthwith take, and with no more debate than I with thee did make, when thou whipped off my head, with but one sweeping blow.
Nay, by God, quoth Gawain, to whom my life I owe, nor greet will I nor groan for grief that may befall. Deal an thou wilt the stroke, still will I stand withal, nor bandy words with thee, no e'er for mercy call. Straight there he bent adown his neck, and shewed his neck all bare. No sign he gave of dread, but made as free from care. Then swift the knight in green made ready for the fray, and gripped his grim tool fast, as fain Gawain to slay. With all his body's force, the axe aloft he bare. A mighty feint he made, to deal a death blow there. Yea, had he driven it down, in wise as he made show, that valiant knight had died beneath the deadly blow. But as the gisarm fell, Gawain he swerved aside, e'en as with fell intent it did toward him glide. His shoulders shrank before the sharply gleaming blade, the other as he flinched, the axe from falling stayed. He doth reprove that prince in proud and scornful mood.
Thou art not that Gawain whom men may deem so good,
Who never waxed afraid by mountain or by vale. Now ere thou feelest hurt, for fear thine heart doth fail. Such cowardice and such knight I never thought to know. I never flinched nor fled when thou didst aim thy blow. I made no parleying there within King Arthur's hall. My head rolled to my feet, I shewed no fear withal. And thou, ere harm be done, full sore afraid dost seem. Henceforward of us twain, the braver men shall deem me. I shrank once, quoth Gawain. Henceforth thy stroke I'll stay, though none may set again the head that falls today. But haste thee, man, I faith, thy task to end to bring. Deal me my destiny, make no more dallying, for I will stand thy stroke, and start no more I trow, till thine axe hitteth me, my word be gage enow.
Have at thee,
quoth the knight, and with his axe made play. With wrathful mien and grim, as mad he were alway. He struck a mighty blow, yet never wound he dealt. The axe his hand withheld, ere Gawain harm had felt. The knight that stroke abode, nor flinched that hero free, but stood still as a stone, or stump of ancient tree, that rooted in the ground with 100 roots hath been. Right gaily then he quoth, the giant garbed in green,
so now thine heart is whole, the stroke I'll deal this tide.
Thine hood that Arthur gave, I prithee hold aside, and keep thy neck thus bent, that naught may o'er it fall. Gawain was greatly wroth, and grimly spake withal. Why talk on this, Sir Knight? O'er long thy threats so bold, I trow me in thine heart misgivings thou dost hold.
Forsooth, quoth the Green Knight, since fierce thy speech alway, I will no longer let thine errand wait as pay.
But strike, he frowned with lip and brow, made faint as he would strike, who hopes no aid I trow, may well such pass mislike. Lightly he lifts the axe, and lo, it falleth fair, the sharp blade somewhat bit into the neck so bare. But though he swiftly struck, he hurt him no whit more, save only on that side where through the skin is shore. E'en to the flesh I trow, it cut the blade so good, and o'er his shoulders ran to earth the crimson blood. Sir Gawain saw his blood gleam red on the white snow, and swift he sprang aside, more than a spear-length throw. With speed his helmet good, upon his head set fast, his trusty shield and true, he o'er his shoulders cast. He drew forth his brand, so bright and fiercely spake, Alway I trow that in this world he ne'er was half so gay. Since first from mother's womb he saw the light of day. Now man, withhold thy blow, and proffer me no more. A stroke here from thy hand, without dispute I bore. Wouldst thou another give, that same I'll here repay. Give thee as good again, thereto have tryst today. And now but one stroke's to me falls, so ran the oath I trow. We swear in Arthur's halls, and therefore guard thee now. The Green Knight drew aback, and on his axe did lean, setting the shaft to ground upon the blade so keen. He looked upon the knight a while there on the land, doughty and void of dread. Dauntless doth Gawain stand, all armed for strife at heart. It pleased him mightily. Then with voice loud and clear he speaketh merrily. Hailing aloud the knight, gaily to him doth say,
Bold sir, upon this bent, be not so stern today.
For none discourteous here, methinks mishandled thee.
Nor will save e'en as famed, at court and forward free.
I promised thee a stroke, thou hast it at this same.
With that be thou content, I make no further claim.
And such had been my will, buffet verily. Rougher I might have dealt, and so done worse to thee. Firstly I menace made, but with a feigned blow, and harmed thee narrow wit. That I would have thee know, was for the forward fast we made in that first night, when thou didst swear me troth, and kept that troth all right. Thou gavest me all thy gain e'en as good night, and true thus for the morrow's morn another feint was due. Didst kiss my gentle wife, and kisses gave again. For these two from mine axe, 2 blows I did but feign, this stead to true man payment true.
Of that may none have dread, then didst withhold my due, therefore thy blood I shed. 'Tis my weed thou dost wear, that self-same lace of green. 'Twas woven by my wife, I know it well I ween. Thy kisses all I know, thy ways thy virtues all. The wooing of my wife, 'twas I who willed it all. I bade her test thy truth, by God who gave me birth. Thou art the truest knight that ever trode this earth. As one a pearl doth prize, measured 'gainst peace the white, so do I hold Gawain above all other knight. Didst thou a little lack, Sir Knight, in loyalty, 'twas not for woman's love, or aught of villainy. 'Twas but for love of life, therefore I blame thee less. A while Sir Gawain stood silent, for sorriness. Right sore aggrieved was he, and angered at the same. Then all his body's blood rushed to his face in flame. And for all the shame he shrank, while yet the Green Knight spake. Then in this fashion first lament the knight did make. Covetous accursed be thou, in cowardice and virtue's stead, ye bring both villainy and vice. With that he caught the knot, and loosened the lace so bright, giveth the girdle green, again to the Green Knight. Lo there the false thing take, a foul fate it befall. Fear of thy blow it taught me cowardice withal, with custom covetous to league me and this wrong, largesse and loyalty, which do to knights belong. Faulty am I and false, to fear hath been a prey, from treachery and untruth is sorrow born alway, and care, so here I own, to thee that faithless did I fare. Take thou thy will of me, henceforth I'll be more ware. The Green Knight laughed aloud, and spake right merrily. Whole am I of the hurt that thou didst deal to me. Thy misdeeds hast thou shewn, and hast confessed thee clean, hast borne the penance sharp of this mine axe edge keen. I hold thee here absolved, and purged as clean this morn, as thou hast ne'er done wrong since the day thou wert born. This girdle hemmed with gold, Sir Knight, I give to thee. 'Tis green as this my robe, as thou right well mayst see. Look thou thereon, Gawain, whenas thou forth dost fare, mid many a prince of price, and this for token bear, of chance midst chivalrous knights, that thou didst here abide, and thou in this new year with me shalt homeward ride. With me in revel spend the remnant of this tide. I ween the Lord he held him fast, quoth, though my wife has been your foe that is well past, peace be ye twain between. Nay, forsooth, quoth Gawain, he seized his helm full fain, and set it on his head, and thanked his host again. Sad was my sojourning, yet bliss be yours alway. May he who ruleth all right swiftly ye repay. To her your comely wife commend me courteously. Yea, and the other dame, honored they both may be, who thus their knight with craft right skillful did beguile. And yet small marvel 'tis, is if one throw women's wile, befooled shall be oft times, and brought to sorrow sore. For so he was betrayed, Adam our sire of yore, and Solomon full oft, Delilah swift did bring, Samson unto his fate, and David to the king. By Bathsheba ensnared, grief to his lot must fall, since women these beguiled 'twere profit great withal. And one might love them well, yet believe them not, for all of men on earth had these fairest lot. All other they excel 'neath heaven if they got what be mused, yielding themselves to wile of women whom they used. Then and one me beguile, I hold me well excused. But for your girdle good, may God the gift repay. I take it of good will, not for its gold alway, for samite nor for silk, nor for its pendants fair, for worship nor for weal, I will that token wear. In sign of this my sin, this silk I still shall see, and riding in renown, reproach me bitterly. Of this my fault, how flesh is all too frail and vain, to yield when sore enticed, and gather to its stain. Thus when for prowess fair, in arms I yield to pride, I'll look upon this lace, and so more humbly ride. But one thing would I pray, and so it please ye well, Lord, are ye of this land, where I a while did dwell? With ye in worship fair, for this reward be told, from him who sits on high, and doth the world uphold. But tell me now your name, no more from ye I crave. That truly will I tell,
So spake the baron brave.
Bernlac de hot desert, so men rightly call. 'Tis she Morgan le Fay, who dwelleth in mine hall,
who knoweth many a craft, well versed in cunning wile, mistress of Merlin erst,
doth many a man beguile,
and many a drury drear she dealt with that same wight, who was a skillful clerk, and well knew each knight of fame.
Morgan the goddess she, so men that lady name, and none so proud shall be, but she his pride can tame. She sent me in this guise unto King Arthur's hall, to test your knightly pride, if it were sooth withal. The fair renown that runs of this your table round, 'twas she taught me the craft, which ye so strange have found, to grieve Gunor the queen, and her to death to fright, through fear of that same man, who spake a ghastly sight. Before the table high, with severed head in hand, 'tis she, that ancient dame, ye saw in this my land, and she is e'en thine aunt, sister to Arthur true, born of Tintagle's dame, whom later Uther knew, and gat with her a son, Arthur our noble king. Therefore unto thine aunt I would thee straightway bring. Make merry in mine house, my men are to thee fain, and I wish thee as well, here on my faith, Gawain, as any man on earth, for true art thou and tried.
But yet he said him nay, with him he would not ride. They clasp and kiss again, the other each commends unto the Prince of Peace, and there they part as friends, on mould to the king's hall, I ween. Sir Gawain rideth bold, he gat that knight in green, where he would on wold. The wild ways of the world Sir Gawain now must trace, a horse of this his life, he now hath gotten grace. He harbours oft in house, and oft I ween without, oft venture bold in vale, vanquished in battle stout, such as at this same time I care not to recall. Whole was the hurt he won upon his neck withal, and the bright belt of green he ware about him wound, even in baldric's wise fast at his side 'twas bound. Neath his left arm the lace was fastened in a knot, this token of his fault he bare with him I wot. So cometh he to court, all hail the knight so true. We awakened in those halls, when as the dwellers knew that good Gawain had come, methinks they deemed it gain to greet that knight with kiss the king and queen were fain. And many a valiant knight would kiss and clasp him there, eager they tidings ask, how did his venture fare? And he doth truly tell of all his toil and care, of the green chapel's chants and the fashion of the night, the lady's proffered love, last of the lace all right. He tells and on his neck he shews them as a brand, the cut that for his fault he won from the knight's hand. In blame, grieving he spake alway, and groaned for very shame. The red blood rose that day into his face like flame. Lo Lord, so spoke the knight, handling the lace so fair. See here the brand of blame that I on my neck I bear. Lo here the harm and loss I to myself have wrought, the cowardice covetous in which I there was caught, this token of untruth wherein I was held fast, and I this needs must wear long as my life shall last. For none may hide his harm, nor may that be undone. Once caught within a snare, the net is near unspun. The king he cheered the knight, the courtiers with their lord, laughed loudly at the tale, and swear with one accord, that lords and ladies all, of this the table round, each of the brotherhood, should bear his baldric bound, about his waist a band, a badge of green so bright. This would they fitly wear in honor of that knight. With one accord they swear, those knights so good and true, and he who bare that badge the greater honor knew. The best book of romance, in that 'tis written all, how in King Arthur's days this venture did befall. The Brutus book thereof I trow shall witness bear, and since Brutus the bold at first did hither fare, whose fathers the assault and siege of Troy did share, I wis many have been of yore the ventures such as this. Christ, who a thorn crown bore, bring us unto his bliss. Amen.